Hey everybody, it's Suzanne Wells. Welcome back to another video, and I have an exciting interview for you today. We have a seller with us who is going to share her process for growing her store exponentially over the last few months, and she's going to tell us how she did it. So I have my handy notes here that I can't do anything without. So let me introduce you to Gigi, and your store name is?
Finds from Fifth, like the Fifth Avenue.
Right, I got that. Okay. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into eBay, that kind of thing.
Okay. Well, I've actually kind of dabbled in eBay for ever since it started, like back in the late 90s, I guess. And before you even had pictures on the listings, we still had to wait for a check in the mail and then wait for it to clear and all that stuff.
Oh my gosh.
I've done it for a long time, and partly because I've just always loved to treasure hunt and find things that I thought had value to somebody and connect people with those things. But I started doing a lot of eBay probably in the early 2000s when my husband was staying home a lot with our son. And so he did a lot of eBay then, listing and selling and shipping and all that. And I did the buying, which is my favorite part.
That's a perfect arrangement.
Yeah. But then he went back to work, so we kind of stopped that for a while. And then and I still sold on and off throughout all the rest of the years up until now. I just like it. I just really think there's nothing like eBay anywhere else. But about a year ago, my position was eliminated at a big company, and so I had the choice, thankfully, to not go back to work full time in the corporate world, and I'm very, very thankful for that. And my kids now are 15 and 11, and so what better time to get to stay home with them and hang out during the summers. And so that's what I'm doing full time. And I'm using Suzanne's VA service and also some local help.
Okay. And we're going to get into all those details and share your numbers and that kind of thing. So do you mind sharing where you live, like what state or city? You don't have to tell where you are if you don't want to.
My address is.
I go to these thrift stores.
I live in Arkansas, and I live in Bentonville, Northwest Arkansas.
Walmart country.
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. So.
That may or may not have been the company that I worked for.
Oh, you're not going to say? Okay. What was your role at your corporate job that you left?
I worked for several different companies, but for the last 10 years, I worked as an auditor in the finance and accounting area, and then also in IT systems implementation, primarily focusing on controls, checks and balances in all of those accounting systems.
Okay. So do you have a college degree, did you say?
Yes, accounting.
Accounting. Okay. So what we wanted to show during this interview is how someone can leave the corporate world successfully, approaching a home eBay business as a real business that you work and you have strategies and you have schedules and plans, and how this can work because it has already worked for Gigi. And like she mentioned, she has been using our VA service, which is a virtual assistant, and that's how she was able to leverage everything to do more than one person can do, because you do hit a wall as one person. There's only so many hours in a day, and as a mom, you have less than other people. So she, embraced this thing that happened to her and made it work. So let's start with some of the numbers here. And you said that you've been selling on eBay kind of off and on for a very long time, but it wasn't a full-time stream of income. So do you remember when the date was that you made the decision that you're going to make this home eBay business a a full-time gig?
Probably mid-September last year.
Okay.
Yeah, mid to late September.
Okay, because you started with us on November 14th. That was your first batch with us. And she has done now, I think you're on your 102nd batch. Very consistent, usually every week, unless you're moving. So we kind of lost you for a little while there. So
it's I got a great new space for all my eBay stuff.
Perfect.
I'm not showing it to you because it's
well, of course, you're still moving, right? So over, and this has been exactly 28 weeks, so 6 months, and we have completed 2,138 listings for you. Your investment on those listings was $4,276. Okay, and that comes out to an average of 76 listings per week, with your average investment per week of $152.
Right.
So tell us, like, those look like really big numbers and could be really scary to some people. Like, oh, you spent $4,200 over 6 months just paying someone to do your eBay. I mean, tell us how you feel about that.
Well, I mean, it is an investment, and you have to realize that this is not, like Suzanne always says, this is not a short-term business, right? So you do have to consider that. I mean, do you have some free cash that you can invest? I mean, you don't have to do as many as I did, but I've always felt like there is so much available, at least in my area, in terms of clothing with high resale value, that it was more than I could do. But I knew that there was still profit to be made, even by paying them the $2 per item, and
right.
So I mean, I absolutely have made back all the money that I've spent.
Well, and when you look at it, 76 listings a week is about 10 per day, a little over, or 11 per day. So that's doable for people who are very committed to it and make it a priority. Yeah. Obviously, being a mom is your first priority, but you have to make this a priority.
Yes, absolutely. And, you have to have a good source, and you have to know what people want to buy. And there's all kinds of stuff in Suzanne's videos that help me with that, even though I thought I was pretty much an expert in all that. I'm constantly learning.
Everybody is.
Yeah. And it changes. I mean, what I bought probably, 10 years ago to sell is not the same thing that I buy today or that even sells today. So.
And you said that you weren't heavy into clothing selling, but when you started this, you were doing about, you said $50 a week.
Probably in clothes.
Clothes, $50 a week, and now you're selling about.
I average about $1,000 a week in sales now.
Okay.
Some weeks are a little lower, of course,
right. So that's your sales, not your profit. So
right.
Do you know your profit?
My profit, I kind of calculate it based on my estimated selling price and over time. So it varies, obviously, from item to item, but in general, I would say that you could estimate that about 50% of that is profit.
Okay.
Even using the VA.
So your bring home after all of your expenses is about $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
Right now, and you're not done. You're going further, and we're going to talk about some other things you're doing. So for you guys out there that want to leave regular soul-sucking job or your pre-retirement and you're trying to get something set up, she's already done it. And, that may not seem like a lot, $2,000 a month, but you get all the home business deductions, which brings your taxable income down, which we're not going to get into taxes, even though you're an accountant. But it's completely different than getting a paycheck from somebody else for $2,000 a month, because you can write off so much stuff that brings your taxable income down, and you're going to look bad on paper, which is a good thing if you're paying taxes. It's a bad thing if you're trying to get a mortgage or borrow money. It's not great, but that's where a lot of the baby boomers are right now, is wanting to have something to supplement their regular income. So $2,000 a month. That's very commendable over such a short time. And so you said that your husband is a firefighter, so he has
Yes.
a flexible job. So you have a flexible job, and that works pretty good for you guys.
Yeah, yeah. He's the chief actually, so he
Oh,
has a set schedule now. But he's still gone sometimes, on calls and all of that. But he has been extremely, extremely supportive of me doing this and wanting me to stay home with the kids. And he just loves that I'm doing really what I love. He doesn't like to go to the thrift store, but I love it. That's like therapy for me.
he likes
So
to stay home and change the batteries in the smoke detector, doesn't he?
yeah, yeah, exactly. How did you know that?
Just chief of the fire department. I'm just guessing he's on top of that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's does he work like so many days on, so many off kind of schedule?
No, he works Monday through Friday now since he's got more of the office job, but still he is just really supportive, and that's been what's made it so nice for me is that he wasn't pressuring me to go back to
Mm-hmm.
work right away or make a certain amount and obviously I'm not making anywhere near what I made then but you have to set what are your goals in life,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a whole different story.
Right,
But
right. That's a different conversation. Right.
yeah,
Yeah, I
so
mean,
but
you learn to
that's
live with less when you have your freedom. I mean,
yeah.
that's what I say. It's like, sometimes it's tough, every month trying to make it work. And, even when you have a big YouTube channel and, everybody has financial challenges that they have to deal with. And I always say, it's just better than working for somebody else. I can work more when I want. I can work harder when I want and get those rewards if you're a salaried employee and you can work at 0% or 110%, you get paid the same
Yep.
unless you have a
Yep.
bonus program, which, is different. But so you can really, it's good to have that flexibility, but it's just, freedom is, you just can't put a price on it. Being able to say, oh, it's a beautiful day. I'm just going to go for a 2-mile walk and just go get a Starbucks and do what I want and then come back and work some more later. Or go
Exactly.
see your kids do whatever they're doing, their events and their activities, and just be able to be there for them because it's over fast.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
and mine are getting so close. I mean, yesterday we went to on a bike ride around the lake and had a picnic lunch in the cave, and I mean, it was just we read a book out loud to each other, and I'm like, this is worth. We
Mm-hmm.
didn't spend a dime, but we were together, and I mean, that's just invaluable to me.
It
So
is. It really is. There's just you can't put a price on it. So it's just the freedom that's really important to me is having a way to make money that I love and I'm passionate about, and it's inspiring, and it's like 24 hours a day. You could sit at your computer and do this until you just drop dead 50 years from now because it's never ending. It's just that's the nature of it. So, okay, I'm looking through my questions here. So let's talk about what types of items you sell and where you get them. You mostly said now you have gravitated toward clothing, but let's talk about your thrifting schedule, I guess, because you do have one, right?
yeah, sure.
Okay, maybe not.
We don't really have like certain days around here where there's sales or anything like that, but I go when I have time. But now that it's garage sale season, I'm out on Fridays and Saturdays too sometimes, but mostly Fridays is my big day, and so
Mm-hmm.
I do try to keep at least a couple of batches a week in going into the clothing area. I've slowed down a little bit now because I've really got my kind of pipeline built up
Mm-hmm.
really well, and so that is coming to fruition for me now. It's just selling. I mean, clothing is kind of what they call long tail
Mm-hmm.
item, so you wait
Mm-hmm.
and at least a year, but I think even more than that, if you still believe that it has value. But anyway, yes, garage sales Fridays, and then I sneak in a little trip to Goodwill here and there. I try to bind myself because otherwise I can spend like the whole day in there.
Of course.
But when my kids have a lesson or something, sometimes I'll sneak away while they're in the lesson and spend 30 minutes, an hour in there. But
I have a joke with my daughter that I'm going to invent like the eBay thrifters feed bag. And it's going to be a thing that just goes around your face so that we never have to stop to eat. We could just keep going forever.
Yeah, and only us eBay thrifters really understand that.
Right. It's like, oh, okay, one more row, and then I'll leave. Okay, wait, I didn't see that over there. Just one more, like an addict. You're like, just one more.
Yeah. He goes in, he's like, done in about 10 minutes. I'm like, he's like, there's nothing in here. I'm like, how do you know? You haven't looked at everything. So, but yeah, I got to look at everything.
Okay, perfect. So when you started with our service 6 months ago, you had, I think how many listings? 700.
700.
And
yeah.
you went.
But not much clothing.
Okay, and now you are over 2,100. But a lot of stuff is sold.
Yeah.
In between, so you were really able to build your business with help. So there's another element to this that we haven't talked about yet, and you like you said, you've built a pipeline, you've built a system. So actually, Gigi is going to put all this together to make it available for eBay sellers. It's just not quite there. In a couple 3 weeks, it'll be ready. So I will let you know on YouTube when this is ready if you want to check it out. But tell us what you came up with and how you're doing it, so that maybe you can help others get to where you are.
Well, I guess what I first realized is that there's only so many hours in the day, and I also don't really like measuring and photographing clothing because it's just kind of time intensive.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I really wanted to take advantage of the VA service, but I knew that like it would take me so long and I would just suffer burnout from doing all of those things. So but there's a lot of clothes to buy and to be sold. So I was trying to figure out how do I fill that other gap. And I tried using my kids, and that really didn't work that great because their pictures were not good, and I don't know. There was a lot of whining too. But
well, they're at that age where they just kind of want to do their own thing, and they don't really need money yet because they're not driving.
No,
so wait till they start driving, and then they're going to be like, "So, Mom, you got any work I can do?"
Right now, they don't need money.
Right.
So, anyway, so I saw a post from a girl who goes to my church on Facebook that she had her hours reduced at a restaurant where she worked, and she was really looking for something that she could do that had flexible hours because she was going to school. And so I thought, well, maybe she would be willing to help me. So she said, absolutely. And so I kind of put together a bunch of instructions, got, the way to measure clothes properly and the way to photograph them properly and how to set everything up. And then I took her a bag of 20 items, which is the batch size that I would send to Suzanne. And so she just took pictures of them and then uploaded them for me and followed all the instructions and then brought the bag back. So I had to check them over, of course, make sure they were done right and send some feedback. But that worked really, really well. And so then I found another friend of mine who has a couple of people in her family that she cares for. So they are homebound, and so she's homebound, but she was financially strapped also. She wanted to do it. So I also found a few people through a Facebook moms group
Mm-hmm.
that are teachers that were looking for some extra income during
So
the summer.
basically, it's like satellite helpers. They don't come to your house.
No.
Right.
No.
You have come up with a plan of how to hire them, how to pay them, what supplies they need at their house. You go to the thrift store, pick out everything, which is the fun part, and you know what to pick, and then you take worker A a bag of 20, worker B a bag of 20. How many different people do you have in your system?
Well, it varies. Right now, I have four that are working for me. I've had up to 6,
Mm-hmm.
but one of them had a baby, and so
Yeah, they come and go.
break, and so they kind of come and go. But right now, I've got 4 that are pretty regular.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked, that they finish. If they take a bag, that they finish it in a week, and
Mm-hmm.
if they can't finish it in a week, then they let me know so I can give it to somebody else. But
Right.
so it's very flexible. I've got a high school student. I've got a stay-at-home mom. I've got, this other woman who cares for her husband and her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So a variety of people. But usually I ask that they each do one batch a week, and of course I'm flexible about that if they have
Right.
something come up.
Because I see your batches are sporadic. There won't be anything for a few days, and then you'll have 8
Right.
batches. And I'm like, oh, all her people finished up. And so what I like about your system is that it's not in your home, so it's not invasive, because having people come to your home is very invasive. Maybe you don't want to put on makeup that day. Maybe you don't want to get up that early. Maybe you just don't want to be around anybody, and you don't want to have to talk to people.
Yes, exactly.
So it's not invasive in your home, and you teach them exactly what to do. Now, the next question people are going to have is, aren't you threatened that they're going to go out and do the same thing and go to your thrift stores and figure out what to sell and copy what you're doing and steal all your inventory and steal your business? What are your comments on that?
If they want to, great, but I guarantee you that none of them want to. So they don't. First of all, most of them don't want to invest the money in doing it, and they don't understand the process of putting things on eBay. They don't know what to buy.
Waiting for them to sell is where we lose people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So most people just, they might think they want to do it, but they never really do it. So they're happy, I think, and it's great because they get their money up front, and they don't have an investment at all except their time, and so it's really helped them out. I mean, I know this one friend of mine, she took her son on a cruise because of the money that she was able to earn by doing this.
So here you've given 4 to 6 people a job because you figured out this system. And what I really like about what you do is you teach them how to put everything together the way we need it. So like with my VA service, the clients send pictures and a little bit of information about the item, which is written. Do you do the whiteboard or paper?
I made some little templates that they fill out. And
so it's just enough, information like the weight and the measurements so that my listers can list it. So it's just like this whole assembly line process that we have come together with here. And so she teaches them exactly how to put the pictures into Dropbox the way we need it, and then they email you the link, right? And then you email it to us. So it's basically this chain of you shop, they take pictures and put everything in the format we need, then it gets sent to us. My people list it usually within a day or two, and I will shout out to Jen Cangelosi, who is your dedicated VA. We love Jen. She has been on eBay, I think, longer than both of us. Or I think maybe we started at the same time, but she just knocks them out and gets them done. And what she's done by working for me and you is we're working for you through me. She was able to send her daughter to Germany this summer. Her daughter's in high school, and I'm not sure if it was for music or academics or what it was, but this was possible for her daughter because of us doing, collaborating on this situation. So it's like, that's why I love this VA service is it's so hands-on. It's not like an app or a thing that you just download to your computer. It is people helping people. And so right now I have 9 VAs and I'm getting ready to hire another one because it just keeps growing. And so that's what I love about your system is it's worked into what we provide. So the next question is going to be, well, if you're paying somebody to take pictures this much and then you're paying Suzanne's VA service this much, how are you making any money? So let's talk about what you pay them, how you pay them, and what kind of profit you end up with per item, and how that's all going to work out.
Well, sure. My goal is to not purchase anything that I don't think has at least $30 of profit in it, gross, right? Mm-hmm. So, and my average purchase price per item is around $2. I mean, it varies widely because you get stuff at a garage sale for a quarter, or you get stuff at Goodwill for $7.
Right.
But in general, when I'm buying something, I want to be able to at least sell it for $30 more than what I paid for it. That's my goal.
Okay.
Some is more, some is less, and you take offers sometimes. But anyway, in general, that would be my goal. So if you think about that, and your investment in the item is $2, you've got $30 in there. So if I'm paying Suzanne $2 of that, and my other people part of that, which kind of varies, and that all is included in the information I'm putting together. but it still leaves, even after eBay fees, around between $10 and $20 profit per item,
which is totally worth it.
Yeah, totally
because you have duplicated yourself here. You have duplicated yourself and made yourself into 4 photographers, a lister that turns stuff around in a day or two, and that's how you're going to get ahead in this business, is leveraging people to do this work, because eBay is it's impossible to standardize. It's not like Amazon. It doesn't work the same way. And there's all kind of people out there coming up with apps and programs and stuff to standardize eBay, and you just can't, because all the items, that the thrifters and, at-home sellers work with are like one of a kind. You just don't have 8 of them or 12 of them or 100 of them. So you can only get there through people. And that's what I figured out after this is my 15th year, is you can only grow this business through people.
Yeah. And I mean, that's why I love, and I have gotten questions about, even the VA service of like, well, after you have to create all those folders and upload the pictures and all of that, isn't it just easier to do it yourself? And I'm like, no, because I'm also paying for the expertise that they have. So, I mean, yeah, maybe I could spend some time researching each item and, putting all the different item specifics in, but that's time and also just experience and expertise that I don't necessarily have right here. So for $2 is a bargain for me to have Jen there, like telling me, oh, that item, you should list that for $150.
So she prices your stuff, right?
Yeah, she prices.
And do things sell for higher than you would have priced them for?
Yeah, a lot of times. I mean, there's things that I wouldn't have thought to price that high, but sure enough, I go with what she says, and that gives you room to take an offer if you want, or to run a sale, but you can't go up, but you can always come down.
Right. And Jen is like no nonsense. Her favorite thing to say is "suck it up, Buttercup." She's just like, she is very ambitious, and just a note about all of the VAs, they are all based in the USA, native English speakers. I tried the outsourcing to the Philippines and India, and it was not a great experience because of that language barrier. And you can tell they're not a native English speaker in your listings. I'm not trying to be prejudiced at all. I'm just saying that if you're an American selling to other English speaking people and you've had someone who's not a native English speaker write your listing, you can tell. And that's not money well spent. And like for the keywords in the title and that kind of thing, that did not go well. It was a lot cheaper, but I had to go back and redo a lot of the work myself. This was years ago when all that outsourcing kind of thing started. So, that's why when I designed this, I wanted all native English speakers and based in the USA because that's the bulk of our clientele. We do have some in UK and Canada, but Canadians are, considered native English too. But and then their experience level, they have to be actively selling now, because if you're not selling now, you are not in the loop on what's going on. I mean, we just had the change of the restocking fee is gone now. You can't charge that anymore. And what's up with the free returns and all these things that change all the time. The VAs are on top of that. So we can say, oops, this doesn't work anymore, or you can't do that anymore. eBay changed it. So most of them have my requirement is that they have 2 years of selling and 500 sales as a seller before they can be a VA. And, it's strict. And but that's what we want, because for people like you, that you jumped into a niche that you weren't real familiar with and that you don't particularly like as far as the photographing and measuring part, shopping, but now you've got these people, this team here that can get you where you want to go with their knowledge and expertise. And I'll tell you, a lot of them don't have to look anything up. They just know, because we do thousands of listings a week, and they just know because they've seen it. And we always put whatever your product line is, we put you with a VA who knows about that. We just took on a client who, hey Bev, the sewing lady, thousands of sewing patterns. And I paired her up with a VA that knows about sewing patterns, and she has made clothes, and she knows the terminology and all of that. So that's the difference in what we do in outsourcing to India or the Philippines, is they don't have the expertise and they can't do it as fast because it's not up here from their experience. So I'm glad you see that. You wouldn't have done 102 batches if you didn't see that, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Okay, so let me see what else we haven't covered here. I asked if you had any stats regarding profit. We've gone over that. Average sales are about 1,000 a week now. Profit's about half of that. So 500 a week is not too shabby. You should be going on a trip pretty soon.
Yeah, we are.
And so what is the dollar amount of listings you have right now?
It's around $100,000. It varies when I put a sale on or whatever, it goes down. But that's right now, if you go to your store, that's the market value that you're asking for your items is $100,000. So you have been able to build that. Do you know what you had before you started with us? Well, I had only started back for maybe a couple months max, and so I had maybe around 20,000 or so.
Okay.
I had some high dollar items that I had been holding on to, thinking I would put them on eBay, and I did get those listed. I had a whole bunch of St. John stuff that my mom had found at an estate sale. So
wow. I thought you were going to say that
on right away,
that your mom found in her closet. And I was like, no, your mom had them in her closet? How did they even stay there if you're selling on eBay, right? No, but garage sale. Okay. So let's see what else we've got. So you said because you're a numbers person, you sent me some numbers. For each batch of 20 items, you estimate that you have a $140 investment, which includes the $2 purchase price of the item at thrift store garage sale, approximately a $3 photo measurement fee. That's your average. You probably pay based on experience or whatever they're doing. And then the $2 listing fee. So the raw numbers, $2 purchase price, $3 photo measurement fee, $2. That's $7 that you have in the item that you say you will not, generally doesn't list for less than 30.
Right.
Okay. That's excellent. So, I mean, people will say, oh, $7 is a lot, but not if you're selling it for 30. It's really not. You can't do everything for 50 cents. You just can't. I know a lot of people go to the Goodwill outlets. Do you have those there?
Not close by. No,
Mm-hmm.
I've been to a couple, but I only twice.
Would you do it? Would you want to include that? Was that a great experience for you, or do you like it this way?
I don't mind going, and I mean, I thought it was fun. It's not something that I go to regularly, but I found some kind of cool stuff that I have sold there. But
Okay.
but I wouldn't use it as my main source.
Okay, so you're saying this can be done without using the outlets. It's just regular thrift stores and garage sales.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Definitely.
Let's see. So you've made back your investment for using our service, obviously, and paying your photography people. So as long as you keep, stick with this plan of this profit margin, you're not going to have any problems there. What else was I going to talk about?
Yeah, so that means that basically my profit, I think I worked out to just under my estimate that it would be just under $300 per batch eventually, right?
Right.
So
when everything sells.
For every batch that I send to Suzanne, I will eventually make $200 to $300 off of that. Mm-hmm. So you think I've done 100 batches? That's a lot of money that's coming down the pipeline,
right?
Which is like I see it as a kind of an annuity, that you're investing this money that's going to pay back over time, and it does. Weekly, it's like a weekly ATM withdrawal on my investment there.
And that's where I am too, because there may not be Social Security there for you or me. So you've got to figure out ways to build things now that are going to pay you in the future. And people will say, well, what if eBay goes away and it's not there anymore? Well, I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, they've been in business since 1995 or 96, I think. So 22nd year. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger in more countries, and or something else will take its place. We've got all these other options: Facebook groups, Amazon, Ruby Lane, Etsy, all these different ways. E-commerce is not going anywhere, and it's as old as mankind. Finding something and selling it to somebody else is not a new thing. That's that's been around forever. And, I always think of Sanford and Son and the red truck on that show, that it's like when people think this is new, it's like, no, we're just modern day Sanford and Son with junk in our house. And we don't have a crazy Elizabeth living with us. But
I sing that song a lot when I'm rolling up with a bunch of junk in the back of my Subaru.
I know. That's our eBayers theme song, is the Sanford and Son music. So, is there anything else that you want to add that we didn't cover?
I think just, you had sent me a few questions ahead of time, and I think we've gone over what I like about the VA service. But I think the big takeaway should be that this, that you don't need to copy me or Suzanne or anybody else, because eBay, you just need to make it what works for you. And the way that Suzanne's service works, you can use it in so many different ways. I'm using it to amplify and augment my staffing, and be able to be even more free, but still make a profit that pays our bills, and allows me to spend time with my kids. So you have to figure out what is it what is it that you are trying to accomplish, and then build your business that way. And I think, with all of Suzanne's videos, that's really helped me a lot to figure that out. And then now, like, using other people too to help me grow my inventory and my listings has put me in a place where I can be comfortable and to go run around with my kids all day, and I don't have to stay in front of my computer. But I have to get my shipping out, and then if I want to list some stuff, I can. If I don't, I can go run around and play.
Mm-hmm.
So shopping and shipping, that's basically all I do now.
Well, and I had a very wise doctor tell me one time that people become successful by focusing on what they like to do. Because maybe you should learn this or that, or you should do this or that, but auto mechanics aren't successful because they hate working on cars. They love that, and don't waste your time doing stuff that you hate. That's why I pay an accountant to do my taxes. I hate that part. I just don't, it doesn't inspire me. I don't feel fulfilled when I do that. And so if you hate the taking pictures, there's a way to figure that out. If you hate the listing, we've got a way to figure that out. And being out there and doing the shopping is what you love, and there's so much of it. I mean, that is where the world is right now. Is people are downsizing. We have all this overproduction, all these homes that are being sold with 30, 40, 50 years of accumulation. This stream of stuff is not going to stop. And it's available to anybody who wants to do it. There's no barriers to entry. You don't have to have a college degree. You don't have to, live in a certain kind of house or drive a certain kind of car or whatever, or have experience in a certain field. It's anybody who wants to learn and do the work can get there.
Yep.
I really believe that.
And, you probably have enough stuff in your own house right now that you could start with. So you don't even really have to have any kind of an investment outlay.
Right. And most people I start with that are baby boomers downsizing, going into retirement, they can work off what's in their house for 6 to 18 months. Easy. Because it's just, once they get into it, it's so much stuff. And they're kind of to the point now where we don't want to leave this behind for our adult children to deal with. We want to deal with it and make money on it and go on more cruises and do whatever the heck we want, rent an RV for a year and go wherever and do whatever. I mean, there's such a freedom with this business that, that's why I've stayed with it so long, is it's so flexible. And we're getting off in another tangent, but anyway, Gigi's program is coming up, and she, as she said, has an accounting background, so she's very analytical, very detail-oriented, and this could be a way for a lot of people to leverage their business and grow it quickly. I mean, 6 months may seem like a long time to a lot of people, but you had your stride at about 2 months, I think, where you were just sending stuff like every other day. You were hitting it, and you were building that foundation, and now it's blossomed into this huge business that that you're just organizing pretty much.
Now I'm just slow. I'm slowed down a little bit on sending in listings because I'm just keeping up with the shipping right now. But whenever I want to ramp it back up, I can do that. I got a lot more stuff. I've even branched out of just clothing too. I've sent some other things in, and then I don't know how Jen feels about that. She hasn't really said anything, but
no, she'll do anything. One thing about the VAs is they like to learn. So, we don't do certain things, like we just don't want to do high-end handbags. We're just not touching them because there's too much risk. And it's just not something I want to even deal with, and most of them don't either. But collectibles are great because they're not fake. The video I did about the ashtray the other day. It's like, you don't have to worry about if it's fake. It's just this old funky ashtray that is unique, and you don't have to worry about that part. So, and the VAs do like the research and learning new stuff, because when they log back into your account to list more, they're like, oh, this sold, and oh, that sold for $100. And, they're so excited because they had a part in that. And it's, again, people are going to get you where you want to go in this business just because of the nature of it. So.
Yeah. And it's so neat to see, just like you said before too, is about how that's helping them too.
Mm-hmm.
It's I'm providing extra income for all these different people that allows them to do things that they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So
mm-hmm.
it's really a win-win, and it makes you feel good about what you're doing. And it's your plus. You get those emails from somebody that says, I broke this item and I've been looking for it forever. It was my favorite XYZ,
Mm-hmm.
and now I got it from you, and you're thinking, yeah, you paid me $80 for that 50-cent item, but hey, it made him happy, So
yeah,
it's really a win-win, and I think it's so much fun.
You never know what you have that somebody might be looking for, so get your stuff listed or contact me and let's figure out how to do it with you as your partner. So, again, your store name is Finds from Fifth?
Yes.
Okay, Finds from Fifth. And you didn't want me to put a link below the video, right?
I guess not. No.
Okay, yeah. So if you want to look that up on Google, just eBay store Finds from Fifth, and you can take a look at her store. She's real. This is a real person who's been doing this. This is not internet hype. So thanks again for taking the time to talk with us today, and we will be looking forward to your program that's coming out because I think it's going to help a lot of people systemize and standardize this process so that everybody wins. Because look at the cycle that we create as eBay sellers. We go to the thrift stores and we buy stuff, which a lot of those are charity thrift stores, so your money is helping a charity. We make money. If we have hired assistants, they make money. The post office makes money. eBay makes money. PayPal makes money. All the people selling the shipping supplies are making money. It's this wonderful cycle that we're involved in, and everybody can win. And you get a great, flexible home business that you can take you however many years ahead you want it to. So,
yeah. Awesome.
Okay, well, thanks so much for...
Suzanne. Thank you, too, for all of your help. You do so much for us in the eBay selling community, and all for free. A lot of it's for free. So buy her stuff because she deserves it. She's awesome.
Thank you so much, Gigi.
I'm kind of geeking out a little bit getting to talk to you here because you're like a celebrity to me.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I'm just a regular person like you. Thanks so much,
Gigi. You're a high celebrity status, I think, in my mind.
Okay, well, thanks for sharing that with us, and we'll look for your new program to come out.
Okay.
Bye.
Great. Thank you.